Kia ora. Good afternoon. I've just woken up, but before I fell asleep, I was just quickly watching something about Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, and I wasn't too familiar with the case, although I was aware of it. If my phone cuts off, you're going to know I'm right about me digging deep, no pun intended, into this investigation. So what happened was I don't investigate cases unless I'm called to do them. I have to wait for timing to be right. I have to wait for the victims to be ready to speak. I have to wait for the gate to open. The portal has to unlock to let me in so I can go down that thread of the victim's timeline in order to be able to look and see what's down there. Now, this is just a hypothesis, and I need to stress in no way am I suggesting that any family members had anything to do with her disappearance. Actually, quite the opposite. I know that a lot of people are saying it was the son-in-law. It was, that her daughter was in on it and blah, blah, blah. I don't think that for 1 minute at all. So I'm saying this off the bat, just tentatively looking into what I've seen. I have a theory, and it is just a theory. It is a hypothesis. It is a rabbit hole that nobody's really gone down really yet, but that in no way do I think that Nancy Guthrie's daughter or son-in-law were involved in directly what happened to her. But this is just a theory. I'm just throwing my hat into the ring and take with it what you will. But if they cut my phone off, that's going to be a clear sign. So I've never looked at it. All I know is that the mum of a woman what's off the tally got kidnapped and they haven't been able to find her in America. And that's pretty much all I knew. And that there was some doorbell footage or something. But when I was resting after all my handiwork this morning from when they messed with my phone and my live, I thought I'll just click on this one video and listen to see what the man has to say. I'll put the link to the video in the description box. I'm pretty sure it's still there. And then I was listening to it and I thought, interesting. I wonder if, and then I passed out. And now I've just woken up and I'm still half asleep. But I just did a quick deep dive going down the thread, and what I found was very interesting, and I think that people should know. The first thing I want to say is, you know how they're talking about all these anomalies with the camera footage, the doorbell camera footage. Microsoft, who run the software, are saying one thing, and the doorbell camera company are saying something else. 1 minute he's got this on his back, and next minute he doesn't have this on his back, and he's spotted here, and this, that, and the other, right? Is there a possibility that some of that footage is AI generated? So I just want to put that out there because I say they use AI to fake footage, to fake evidence, to fake crimes, to cover things up, which is why AI should be illegal. The fact that Microsoft are involved in any of this is a red flag, because as we know from the voting rigging scandals, Microsoft's involved in that too. The FBI were involved. Kash Patel was brought into it, right? Because we know that they used AI to fake footage for the Cole Allen assassination attempt on Trump, the very publicly humiliating AI-generated footage, right? I just want to put it to you, is there a possibility that this footage is AI generated or AI interfered with? And of course, with the FBI being involved, you're never going to know the truth unless someone in the FBI whistle blows. Now, Mexican border patrols and that have been brought into it. There was a tip that her body was taken across the Mexican border into indigenous land. And this is all important. Why? Because in the course of my investigation, what I uncovered was this. Savannah's father worked for a mining company, and he died, quote unquote, of a heart attack at the age of 48, 49, during a mining expedition in Mexico. Now, as I said, I don't think in any way, shape or form, because I know they keep saying it was the son-in-law and it was this and it was that and blah, blah, blah. I don't think it was that at all. What I have found is family members of Nancy's, like her cousins and that, coming out and saying that they are too scared to speak because they fear for their lives. And I think this is important to understand because Savannah Guthrie's husband has connections to the Clintons and Al Gore, who we know were on the Epstein list. And just weeks before the Clintons were to give their deposition in the hearing for the whole Epstein thing, Nancy went missing. So then I put a little piece of the thread together and I thought, I wonder if, now you know my work with human trafficking, both my sons will be able to tell you very well stories that I had helping border patrol agents between Mexico and Arizona and all that, and their dealings with child trafficking. I've talked about it many times. I helped veterans who gave up their time to look for the child trafficking trail between Mexico and Arizona, where they found bones connected to a small child, and then the sheriff came in and shut them down. The government came in and shut them down. They were threatened with arrest and all sorts. I have said this time and time again, there is a very, very well-known human trafficking route between Mexico and Arizona and Texas and all that as well, and West Virginia. I know where a lot of them are because that's been my area of expertise. And one thing I do know, which brings Elon Musk into this, when you're talking about mining, is that they use the mining tunnels to hide these kids and to move the victims around. I talked very extensively about one in West Virginia, but the ones between Mexico and Arizona, I know very well. Remember I was talking about Chris Tompkins, about looking for tunnels underground? Yeah, this is exactly what I'm talking about. I'm wondering whether either A, Charles knew something about the human trafficking routes, and he maybe said something to Nancy, and so they removed her to shut her up and threaten Nancy and Charles' family to keep their mouth shut, because Savannah has done interviews with victims of Epstein and stuff in the past. She's interviewed Donald Trump about the satanic cults and all of that sort of thing. So what I'm suggesting is her disappearance and the link to Mexico and the fact that she lived in Arizona and her husband was connected to mining, either obviously it's got something to do with mining minerals and metals and all that, because we all know their love of the mining industry, but because of the connection with the Clintons and Epstein and Al Gore, And the fact that they had that deposition, I'm wondering whether they removed her out of the way because she possibly knew something about the trafficking routes between Mexico and Arizona through the mining tunnels because of things her husband said. And that's why her family members, like her cousins and that, are too scared to talk because they fear for their lives. Just tentatively. So it would mean that her son-in-law and daughter had absolutely nothing to do with it, other than the fact they just happened to know people who know people who know people who did stuff, and could very well possibly have been a threat to say to them, keep your mouth shut. It's just that when it comes to human trafficking in America, especially between um, Central America and America, Mexico especially, because of the work that I've done with Border Patrol agents with their PTSD, which is the whole reason why I wanted to build the Safe House in America in the first place, and also the work that I did with the missing Indigenous people from Canada and the Highway of Tears. I know that some of them got taken down through the Arizona Trail. I'm just wondering if maybe Savannah's dad was killed, quote unquote, heart attack, of course. And because remember, Nancy had the pacemaker and it was switched off, which is another reason why I say don't sign up to Meta or those Google watches or anything like that, because they'll switch your heart off at the flick of a button. Um, it sounds like there was a massive cover up with the help of the FBI, which I know, but like I said, this is my work. This is my life's work. This is this is the whole reason why Hillary Clinton came after me in the first place, because this is all the stuff I was talking about at the time that they shut my WordPress and Facebook down. All roads always lead back to the Clintons, eh? Palantir, CIA. And I'm just wondering whether the reason why people are having this issue with the doorbell footage is because it's AI generated, or some of it is, or partly. Because what normal average person's gonna tell? This is why they hate me. This is why they come after me. So I'm just putting it out there. Nancy may have known stuff in regards to her husband's work, and if he uncovered something about the human trafficking routes they take through the old abandoned mines, or because they're drilling mines, that's what the boring company does. Elon Musk drills the tunnels to get the kids and the victims in and out. He did it for P. Diddy. That's what that whole Joe Rogan interview was about, that Joe Rogan took down that interview. I've only got the snapshots of it, but in that interview that Joe Rogan did with Elon Musk, he admitted to digging tunnels that Diddy used for trafficking. And then it completely vanished after I took it to Donald Trump, when I thought Donald Trump was the good guy. And then, of course, I realised later that they were all in on it together. So, like I keep saying, don't think for 1 second that Republicans and Democrats hate each other. It's all a game. It's all a lie. And because of some of the things that Savannah knew in her job as a reporter, and that she knows things. She's done some pretty incredible work as her time as a journalist in regards to Bin Laden, 9/11, um, the whole Epstein thing and that. So they may have done this to her mother to keep Savannah quiet. I could be wrong. It might not have anything to do with telling her and her husband to keep their mouths shut. But I'm just throwing it out there that Nancy went missing because of things that her husband knew in regards to the trail, the Arizona trail. I know where a lot of those trails are because, like I said, I've been working on this for 10 years. I've been speaking up for the victims and doing investigations for the human trafficking routes in America and that for 10 years. And when it comes to Arizona and Mexico, I know that one the best. They moved a lot of victims from Canada and that down through the Arizona Trail. Texas and Arizona, especially West Virginia. So I'm just throwing it out there. It's food for thought. It's a road that nobody's gone down. It's just when it comes to mining, if there's any hint of a connection between the Clintons and Epstein and Al Gore and mining, you've got to look directly at Elon Musk and the cult of Odin. Now, the father died in 88, so that's quite a bit before Musk's time. But in regards to Nancy, I mean, you know, he does help a brother out. They all have each other's backs. And I'm just wondering whether the, the husband, Charles, knew something that he possibly told Nancy, and then Nancy told her family members, and that's why they're too scared to speak. And then the fact that she went missing just weeks before the Clintons' deposition, in regards to the Epstein thing, you know, there's no smoke without fire. It's just, yeah, it piqued my interest because, like I said, the Arizona Mexico human trafficking route and the borders between like Arizona and Mexico and that was my life a long time ago. That's why they came after me. I even have wondered whether Rocio wasn't brought into my life as a like a stooge, as like a, you know, she was someone who popped up into my life. Hey, I've been watching your WordPress and that I'd like to be a student. I'm wondering because she was in the Air Force. I'm wondering whether and she had to have secret security clearance to do her job in telecommunications. So I'm wondering whether she wasn't told contact her and be a student and tell us what you know. And then, of course, with her being a pedophile, she did what she did to my son because they all protect each other, don't they? So I'm just putting it out there. And Nikki, Erica Faircloth, Nikki Barney Mustafi, she'll know the whole Arizona investigation thing well. I have many discussions with my students about when I get to America, I'll make shows where I go and investigate the Arizona Trail myself, and that we would all go together and do an investigation using our gifts to see, you know, what we could see, and you know, so she was the one that was contacting all the veterans and that were doing the expeditions out there and relaying information to them. But I had my own private contact with Border Patrol. They're the whole reason why the Arizona-Mexico Trail is the whole reason why I came up with the idea of the safe houses, building the safe houses, because of the amount of kids that they rescue who are unaccompanied, who get basically put in dog cages. Remember, there was that whole thing about Obama and the detention centres. where the illegals and the kids they were rescuing from the border were basically kept in what looked like dog kennels. And it broke my heart, and I know that it affected the psyche of a lot of the border patrol agents. So I was like, man, when I get to America, I need to do something about it. Like, even just for the kids, I need to do something about it. And that's when I came up with the whole idea for the safe houses. And then it was, of course, around the time that hell started breaking loose with my social media, and that I got my radio show in America with in the Fox Valley in Chicago, WRMN 1410, and then all hell broke loose behind the scenes with Chris and Martin and Rocio and Nikki and all that, joining the cult of Odin to try and stop me from rescuing the children. And then that's when, Musk and Palantir and all that came in and started messing with my phone and my internet and my boy's phone and all of that sort of thing, our social media. So they messed with my phone 3 times today. I think this could be the first bomb dropped as a consequence of them not listening to the warnings. So there'll be 2 more to go. But I'm putting it to you that that image is AI generated. If not all of it, some of it. And that with the help of the FBI and Microsoft, because the company that owned the doorbell camera was saying one thing and then they quickly changed their story and, that sort of thing. Microsoft backtracked on a few things and there's confusion between the FBI and the police and this police department and that police department. And any time that sort of shit happens, there's a cover up. But why? And it's either got something to do with mining or the human trafficking trails where they use the mining tunnels, the disused mining tunnels. Some of them aren't disused, but the majority of them are. People who go missing down mining tunnels is usually because they've found things they shouldn't have found. Because, as I was saying with the Chris Tompkins thing, if people if people vanish off the face of the earth, it's usually because they took them underground. And it's people like Elon Musk who bore the tunnels to take them underground if they don't use like disused underground railway lines or subways and their unused subways, disused subways. Decommissioned is the word, I think. Decommissioned subways or mines. And from past experiences when I've investigated unsolved mysteries, like I'm trying to think of that little beastie in Wisconsin and that I always look to see where mines are. Because a lot of times they bring in, these creatures, these myths and these mythological creatures and that, werewolves that walk on 2 feet and that to spook people away from areas where they want to mine the area. So mines is kind of my thing, but then I am the goddess of the underworld, really. I was born in the underworld, so mines and tunnels and things that are hidden underground is kind of, that's my playground, really, isn't it? Because I'm a Scorpio and I was born in the underworld. Scorpios are all born in the underworld. We rule death. So I'm just putting it out there. But in no way, shape, or form does it appear like whose son-in-law and daughter were involved in it. If anything, they've been told to keep their mouth shut because from what I have read, I've put the link in the description box. Nancy's cousins and that are afraid for their lives. So there may have been things that were talked about what Charles knew before he died. And then he just, at the age of 48, 49, dropped dead of a heart, 49 I think, just dropped dead of a heart attack. A healthy, fit man just dropped dead of a heart attack while on a mining expedition in Mexico. So I'm just putting it out there. And direct energy weapons can give you heart attacks too, by the way. If they didn't inject him with something and fake the coroner's report to cover it all up like they do, they can. That's how they came up with the whole thing of pacemakers. And she had a pacemaker. They could have even. Remember when he broke, how they said he broke the doorbell camera, even though he was completely covered up? They could have used something connected to the doorbell to stop your pacemaker. They could have used the information that was tracking her pacemaker, the information that tracked her pacemaker to stop her heart. So I keep saying to the king, don't wear those meta glasses, don't wear those AI glasses, don't have AI watches, don't have Google watches, don't have anything digital anywhere near your body. Because if they want to take you out, they will, and they'll make it look like a heart attack or a stroke. The vaccines, with that nanotechnology that's in the vaccines, they will use your technology to trigger the little metal fibres in the vaccines and make you have a heart attack and stuff. Give you strokes, give you embolisms, and make it look completely natural. So I'm just putting it out there. Okay? Just food for thought. I'll speak to you later. Ka kite.